Hello and welcome to today's episode number 2 of the Human Condition podcast. I'm your host, American Council on Exercise certified personal trainer, Kiri Jones. Now, this episode is going to be the first episode that contains the content that will be in these podcasts moving forward. So what I want to do is kind of cover the structure a little bit. I want these podcasts to post bi-weekly on the opposite weeks that blogs posts on the website. And I want to cover what was in the previous blog post a little bit, because I know not a lot of people like to read, and either you'll read it and you want to hear me talk more about it, or you don't read it and you know that I'm going to mention it anyway. I want to cover the blog posts. I want to, if I see an article or a new research study or a trend that's interesting and important to cover, I'll cover that as well. And then I want to end these episodes with a Q&A. Now, the podcast is so new, obviously, at this point, that I don't have any questions to answer, but you can email us directly at The Human Condition. You can post to our social media. We have Facebook and Instagram. You can comment on YouTube videos. You can comment on the blog. You can comment on the podcast, wherever you're listening to it. I will pull questions from literally everywhere that they come in. And if I have to, if I can't get to it in the current podcast, if I have to, I'll create an entire podcast that's strictly just for Q&A and maybe post it outside of the blog schedule. But these are going to be recorded ahead of time, ahead of the scheduled date of post. And that's to say that, if you ask a question 1 or 2 days before the podcast is supposed to post, it's very likely that your question might not end up in that video, and it's fine. I'm going to keep track of all the questions so that way I don't lose them. But I really think it's important to engage people in what they're curious about and what their burning questions are, because somebody else is bound to have the same question as you. And, why not ask somebody who's offering to answer? So now moving on to the content portion of this episode, I want to cover 2 blogs that have posted to the website, one of them being about weight loss injections and another one being about starting your fitness journey. Now, I had posted the blog post about weight loss injections outside of my normal schedule for blog posting because it's gotten so popular so fast that I think it's important to discuss, especially given that I'm fairly certain most people are not sure what it is, what it does. All they know is it's being marketed to them as a weight loss injection. Now, this started with a compound called semaglutide. This compound was created to help adults with type 2 diabetes manage their diabetes. And it does this because it's classified as a GLP-1 receptor antagonist. Either antagonist or agonist. Don't quote me on that. I'm not a science nerd, but it's in the blog. This is something that mimics a hormone that exists in the human body that helps with the production of insulin. What they found was a side effect of this medication was weight loss. And this is because it slows down digestion and it decreases levels of hunger, which, if you know a little bit of biology, you can understand why that would create weight loss. But again, it was a side effect. It wasn't even created for that intention. What this did was trigger a rush for people to start then creating a weight loss injection to market to people. Now, Ozempic is the diabetes medication, but this same company then created Wegovy. It's a higher dose of Ozempic, and it's specifically for weight loss. Now, these are FDA approved, And there are other compounds and drugs that I have listed in the blog post that are for the same purpose and the same marketing. So this isn't like one of those unregulated supplements that you see, on the internet or in stores. I mean, that's not to say that there are not unregulated, generic, off-brand type drugs that are in existence that maybe you should pay attention to if you're planning on taking this medication, and like maybe go to your doctor and not just something on the internet. But what ended up happening was that this got so popular so fast, it created a shortage of the medication. So now people with type 2 diabetes that rely on this medication to help them manage their diabetes can't get it. They just can't because, somebody took a good thing and ruined it. So I think that's something that's not spoken about enough, and I think should be a real big point of clarification for all of the hundreds and hundreds or thousands or millions, I don't know, of people that are looking to try to start taking these weight loss injections. Like, maybe hold off on that a little bit. The other factors that are involved with deciding to take this as a weight loss medication, and I've never spoken to a doctor about it, so I'm not really sure the conversations that are had from a physician's perspective, but these have other side effects. And these side effects can include things like nausea and vomiting, cramping, stomach pains, and even in some rare and serious circumstances, it can cause pancreatitis. None of the ads I've seen on social media for these weight loss injections include that. They don't speak about it at all. They talk about the weight loss. Another thing that needs to be considered, and it's something that has some research behind it, is long-term use of weight loss injections can actually create reliance from the body. So the body then relies on taking this medication in order to continue or hold where it's at, which can cause a plateau in your weight loss. And in some cases, it can cause, once you cease taking the medication, it can cause you to gain some, most, or all of the weight that you lost back. So it's not a sustainable option. And that's to say that, I understand that weight loss is difficult. I used to be overweight, and I know that, the farther and farther you're into the categories of being overweight, the harder it is to get started. And maybe you're at the level where this will help you initially. But if you start taking this, you need to have a plan of what to do sooner rather than later, because you should not stay on this. You should not continue to use it. It's not sustainable. It's not going to help you get to where you actually want to be. No matter what the internet says, regardless of what social media tells you about these weight loss injections, they might get you there in the short term, but you can't rely on them. It doesn't address the actual causes of obesity in America. And these are things like processed foods, lack of activity, and then there's other factors that people don't think about, like sleep regulation. That has an impact on your weight. I mean, it's a roundabout impact. It's not like direct, but it's there. And then exposure to stress. We are, or at least people that I know, are not great at admitting when they are stuck in a stressful environment. And so what we tend to do is stay in that stressful environment because that's what we know, or we don't even realize the amount of stress that's being put on us, and we have this slow drip of cortisol. That has an effect on your overall health, and it, again, an indirect effect on your weight or weight loss. You have to address these things in order to create sustainable change in your life. And I'm not a superhero. I'm not here to save America. I just want, if one person somewhere listens to this and goes, I can do it, great. More power to you. I will continue to sit in this office and record podcasts, even if only one person's listening. But I do think that it is important to put the information out there. This is kind of a good segue into the second blog post, which was starting your fitness journey. And very simply put, if I were to boil everything that I would say to somebody down in terms of starting their fitness journey into like one short statement, it is just start. You can start anywhere. You have the power to do that. The internet is full of an overwhelming amount of information, but in the basics, like, you know some stuff already. You know that it's, you can go for a walk, or you can park farther away at the grocery store or at work. There are things that you know. Push-ups, sit-ups, whatever. Find something that works for you online. It's free. I mean, there's tons and tons of free resources. And just start. And if you have to go and buy yourself a new pair of shoes or a new workout outfit, or you have to take some time to like create like a really specific playlist, you have to have this ritual where you go through your house and really take stock of what's in your cupboards. Anything. If you have to set an alarm to remember to work out, find what works for you, because only you can. I can give you advice and tips, and if you hire me as a coach, I can guide you through stuff, but I can't do it for you, and I can't find it out for you. The way that I want to structure how I help people, whether it's through the free information that I give out with a podcast, blog, website, or through coaching, I want you to look at it as like you're at the bottom of a mountain that you know you need to be at the top of because you told yourself you needed to be at the top of that mountain. But you don't know how to climb it. So you go to the internet to search for resources, and you stumble across me. And what my job is to teach you how to climb the mountain, but I won't do it for you. You have to do the climb. I will do my very best to make sure that you have all of the information that you need to successfully climb that mountain, but you have to climb. And the only way that you can do that is to start. It doesn't have to be today or tomorrow. It doesn't have to be on a Monday. It doesn't have to be New Year's Eve. It can be whatever day you want. It could be in 5 minutes if you feel that motivated. But you have to start somewhere. Because if you don't, then you're just going to stay at the bottom of the mountain looking at the top, wondering why you're not where you're at. No, wondering why you're not where you want to be. It is hard. Starting is one of the hardest parts of the entire process because it is such a big feeling thing. And we have the added misfortune of having access to such a huge internet thing that you can see everybody who's doing, trying, and succeeding at certain things that are related to health and fitness. And what you have to remember is like a lot of people that are on the internet, specifically who you see most often on your feed that's fit, in shape, and constantly talking about their routines, they're selling their image. And they're not showing you the bad days. So don't confuse yourself with what you're doing and what's not working for you and how hard you're trying in the days that you feel like you're failing. Don't confuse that with the people that look successful at doing what they're doing, because it might not always be that way for them. You're never going to know that because they're never going to tell you. You have to find somebody that's honest, that's going to tell you what's reality. And they're out there. I promise you they're out there. They're being drowned out by what's popular. So yeah, again, like, just start. That is, in a nutshell, what I would have to say about starting your fitness journey. Now the blog goes into some other stuff, but this felt like the more pertinent part of it. And what I want to do is end this podcast by talking about how Thanksgiving's coming. I want to wish you a happy Thanksgiving, first of all, if you celebrate Thanksgiving. And I don't want you to feel stressed about Thanksgiving. Everybody's like, oh man, it's going to be all this food, pie, sugar, blah, 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 whatever. It's one day. And it's one day that you get to celebrate with people you love and people you care about. It's a feast. You just get together and you have good food that makes you feel good in the soul. Like, do not deny yourself the pleasures of having things on Thanksgiving because you're concerned about your health and fitness journey. It's not that serious. It's not going to break you. Don't deny yourself these things. I know I'm not going to, and I never do. I love Thanksgiving. I love pie. I love eating it 3 days later. I don't care. But yeah, that is pretty much all I want to talk about today on the podcast. The length of these podcasts are going to change. I guarantee it. Eventually, I'm going to start figuring out how to stop rambling and start actually having like structured conversations with myself to the camera. But, you know, if the podcast got to be short, it's got to be short. It's got to be long. It's going to be long. I don't know. I'm new to this, so I'm just figuring it out. What I do know is stuff about personal training and health coaching, health and fitness, and the holistic picture. What I don't know is what mic to buy and how to talk by myself in a room. So I'm going to wrap this podcast up. Again, I want to wish you a happy Thanksgiving. I hope that you are following, liking, subscribing, joining, watching, listening, whatever, anywhere that you find me. I'm here for you. And if you want to talk to me one-on-one, just go to the website. The information is on there. You can send us an email. There's so many ways to get in contact with me. So, yeah, until the next podcast.